Imagine losing your dad suddenly, and then finding out he never claimed his Social Security money. What happens to it, and can you get it? That's what I faced, and after a lot of searching, I learned the truth and found some peace. Stick with me to hear my journey and what it means for you. It's a story full of questions and a surprising answer. I'm Ellen, and I'm 62 years old, living in a small apartment in Oregon with a view of the trees I love. My dad, Henry, was 70 when he passed away last year. A gentle man with white hair and a laugh that filled our old house in California. He worked as a mail carrier for 35 years, walking miles every day, and I always thought he'd enjoy his retirement with Social Security helping him out. But when he died unexpectedly from a heart attack, I found out he never applied for it. After his funeral, I went through his papers, sitting at the desk where he used to pay bills. I saw no records of Social Security checks, just old pay stubs, and a savings account with barely enough to cover his burial. My heart sank had he missed out on money he earned. I felt a mix of sadness and confusion, like I'd lost a piece of him I didn't even know existed. My mom had passed years ago, so it was just me to figure this out. We weren't rich. Dad lived simply, fixing his own car and growing vegetables in the backyard. Without Social Security, he relied on his small savings, which were almost gone. By the end, I wondered if that money could have helped him live better or even helped me now. The thought kept me awake, staring at the ceiling, wondering where it went. Social Security is like a treasure chest you build over years of work, giving you money when you're older or can't work anymore. The Social Security Administration, SSA, on ssa.gov, says it pays benefits monthly. But if someone dies before claiming it, the money doesn't just vanish, depends on the rules. I didn't know those rules, and neither did Dad. He'd always said, "I'll deal with it later," but later never came. I called my brother, Tom, who's 60 and lives in Seattle. He was as puzzled as me. "Did he leave it for us?" he asked. I wasn't sure, but I felt a duty to find out, like I was carrying a torch for Dad. The uncertainty gnawed at me. Had we lost something important, or was there a way to claim it? Have you ever had to sort out money issues after losing someone? Share your experience in the comments side. Love to hear how you managed. I started digging into Dad's papers, but the answers weren't clear. Would I find a way to uncover his Social Security money, or would it stay a mystery? Keep watching to see what I learned. The search began with a mess of papers. I sat at Dad's old desk, surrounded by yellowed envelopes and faded receipts, trying to piece together his work history. My back ached from leaning over, and my eyes strained, but I kept going. I found his Social Security card and some old pay stubs, but no sign he'd ever applied. It felt like looking for a needle in a haystack. I called the SSA, waiting on hold. With that endless music, when I finally spoke to someone, they said Dad had earned enough credits for benefits, about $1,500 a month, but since he didn't claim them before dying, it wasn't automatic. They suggested I might be eligible for something called survivor benefits, money for family members after a loved one passes. But they needed proof, like his death certificate and our birth records. I didn't have those ready, and my hands shook as I realized how much work lay ahead. The emotional weight was heavy. Dad's house, where I grew up, was full of memories: his rocking chair, the kitchen where he made pancakes. Sorting through it alone, with his smell still in the air, brought tears. I missed his laugh, his stories about the mail route, and now I felt guilty, like I should have helped him apply for Social Security sooner. Tom called, upset too. "We should have known," he said, his voice breaking. "Money was tight for me, too. I'm on a fixed income, and Dad's funeral cost more than I expected. I borrowed from a friend to cover it, promising to pay her back, but without his Social Security, I worried I'd never manage." The uncertainty felt like a dark cloud, shadowing every decision. I'd sit on my balcony, watching the trees, wondering if I'd failed him. I gathered the documents: death certificate, birth records, marriage license from when Mom was alive. It took trips to the county office, standing in lines with my cane, my back protesting every step. The SSA worker was kind, but said I had to file for survivor benefits within 2 years of Dad's death, and time was running out since it was almost a year. I mailed the forms, my heart racing, but weeks passed with no reply. I read AARP articles online, learning that unclaimed Social Security can sometimes go to survivors, like a spouse or child, if they qualify. Source: aarp.org. But Dad never married again after Mom, and I wasn't sure if I counted. I called the SSA again, and they said I might get a lump sum for months he didn't claim, plus a small monthly amount. It sounded hopeful, but the process was slow, like wading through mud. Tom helped me search Dad's attic, finding old tax returns that proved his work credits. We dusted off boxes, laughing at old photos, but the task was daunting. Then a letter came: my application was incomplete, missing a form. I felt a wave of frustration, like I was back at square one. The clock was ticking, and I wondered if I'd missed the deadline. Have you ever had to dig through old papers like this? Let me know in the comments. It might help someone else. Just when I thought I'd lose hope, the SSA called with an update. Would this be the answer I'd been waiting for, or another delay? The SSA call was a turning point. The worker said my application was being processed, and I qualified for a lump sum payment of $18,000 for the months Dad didn't claim, plus $600 a month as a survivor benefit. I sat on my couch, the phone trembling in my hand, tears falling as I told Tom. It wasn't a fortune, but it felt like a gift from Dad, a way to honor his hard work. I used the lump sum to pay off the funeral debt and fix my leaky roof, which had worried me all winter. The monthly $600 helped with groceries and my medicine, easing the strain on my budget. Maria, my neighbor who's 64, brought me tea to celebrate, saying, "You did it, Ellen." Her smile lifted my spirits. Social Security is like a family treasure, built over years of work, and it doesn't disappear when someone dies. The SSA on ssa.gov explains that unclaimed benefits can become a lump sum for certain survivors, like a widow, widower, or sometimes a child, if filed within 2 years. I qualified because I was dependent on Dad before he passed, and it gave me a monthly check to lean on now. I learned 2 things that might help you. First, check with the at ssa.gov. If a loved one passed without claiming benefits, it's like looking in a lost and found for money. Second, keep important papers like birth certificates and death records handy, so you're ready if you need to apply. My apartment feels warmer now. I bought a new chair for my balcony, where I sit with a cup of tea, watching the trees and feeling closer to Dad. Tom visits more, and we talk about old times, laughing at Dad's silly jokes. The money brought relief, but the real gift was understanding, knowing Dad's work wasn't forgotten. I joined a local senior group to share my story, helping others ask about unclaimed benefits. A 70-year-old man there said, "You gave me hope to check for my husband, and that made me proud. The struggle brought me closer to my community, like a quilt stitched with care. I feel at peace, like I've given Dad the respect he deserved." My journey to find Dad's Social Security money shows that persistence can bring answers, even after loss. If this story sparked your curiosity or helped you, please like this video and subscribe for more stories like mine. Share it with a friend who might need to know this. It could mean a lot to them. What's one thing you learned from a loved one's passing? Drop it in the comments. We can support each other. I'm back on my balcony, sipping tea and remembering Dad, thanks to Social Security and my search for his benefits. Thanks for joining me on this story, and I'll see you next time with more to share. Asterisk.